Hello, good day, and welcome to another edition of the ArenaCraft podcast focused exclusively on Magic the Gathering Arena. My name is Arjuna, I'm one of your hosts. We're joined today not only by vanilla regular co-host CovertGoBlue. Say hello, CovertGoBlue.
I'm boring.
This just means that he plays white, all right? We're cool. We're cool with that.
I don't, though. I don't. Move on.
Okay, moving on. We are also joined today by special French vanilla rainbow chocolate spumoni flavored
Sprinkles.
special guest, Andrea Mengucci. Welcome to the show, Andrea. It's great to have you.
Thank you so much for the invite. It's a pleasure to be here.
So for those of you who don't know Andrea Mengucci, it's probably not that many of you, but Andrea Mengucci is a highly decorated Magic player, top pro, winner of the first Mythic Invitational on Arena, certified Zoomer and Boomer. So I feel like Mangu is like one of the few people I can really say who really straddles that divide. So it's really an honor to have you on the show, Mangu, because we typically focus just on Arena on this show. And I always love to get the perspective of people who have a long history with Magic before Arena.
Yeah, definitely. When there was the early, like last year, I guess, maybe 2 years ago, like the Magic Boomer, the Zoomer, stuff like that, I tried to stand with the Zoomer for a while. I think that now I am going back to the Boomers side a little bit more, collecting tradable cards, playing on Magic Online. But I definitely love to also play Arena. I stream Arena every day, so I do my dailies. That's very important. And make a lot of content for Channel Fireball, of course, of both like historic, Alchemy, and then standard. That's definitely a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you. We're honored to have you. Also, just a quick plug, Andrea Mengucci has been releasing videos on YouTube for a very long time. We've actually I think you've trademarked the term video. So definitely. You can go to Andrea's YouTube channel. He basically plays every format of Magic that I'm aware of in some quantity. We'll definitely talk more about that in a little while because we're excited to cover that ground. First of all, I just wanted to briefly discuss with you, Mangu, your history with the game, because like we said, you've been playing Magic forever. So one of the questions I want to know is what age were you and when did you first pull that sword out of the stone and proclaim, I am a Magic player?
All right. I would say that we started playing Magic at the beach as children. So like when, some people were playing on the Game Boy on Pokemon, and I like never had the Game Boy. So I was mostly playing like either cards or stuff like that. And then, this new game came out. My brother also used to be playing it, and it was called Magic. It was in 2004. I remember my first ever pack was Champion of Kamigawa. And so it's pretty fitting that,
perfect.
I always, whenever I was going to the headquarters in Wizards, I was always asking, why are you not making a new Kamigawa? Like, people love like Japanese, like you see with War of the Spark, the Japanese cards and people, So I'm pretty happy to see that Kamigawa's back. And, but yeah. I would say that I was just, a child playing the game. I was never, for like many years, I never really done much else than like playing game like this. But then during the years where I went to university, which was around 2010, 2012, I started, going to all the PTQs. In Italy, we had a lot of PTQs almost every Sunday. So I was traveling, every Sunday with like a group of friends to try to qualify for the PT and just get on the train. I ended up staying on the train until now, because I'm still qualified for the events that are happening on Only Magic Arena now. But yeah, so I would say that the history started in 2004, but mostly started as a pro player around 2015 with the World Magic Cup win, and 16 with the more PT top 8s and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and so when you first started, I'm always curious about this. Like, what was the card availability like in Italy, and what was the scene like? Like, was it still really growing, or was it already flourishing by the time you started?
Yeah, I would say that the PTQ in Italy were very, very popular. Like, especially my area, which is in the center of the country, we had like PTQs of 300 people often. And so I would say that back in the days, we had like the PTQ system, right? The America used to have more PTQs than everyone, of course, amount of players. Then it was Japan, and then it was Italy. So Italy was definitely one of the most just popular country playing Magic.
That's really cool. That's awesome to hear. I know it's like when you talk about, people like Paulo, for example, talking about his experience of coming up, and it's like such a Herculean effort to just get to like that even ground level, right, of competitive play. So I always just want to remind people who play in the US of that, there's often a lot of barriers.
For sure, and especially since this was before my time, because whenever I won PTQs, I always had the invite comes with a plane ticket in my time. But before my time, you actually have to buy your own plane ticket. So in countries like you mentioned, Brazil, Paulo mentioned that he had to skip many PTs or worlds he was qualified to because he couldn't afford the plane ticket, and that wasn't a thing for me. My family always supported me. So whenever I had to travel to Honolulu to pay my own, travel and everything, I didn't receive a no. That's definitely one of the things I was privileged about. And so I got to go, for example, on Honolulu on a silver invite in 2016, which meant that I had to pay for my own flight, which was, over $1,000, over €1,000, and so on and so forth. So, definitely I was more privileged than other Magic player.
Well, and I mean, you certainly earned your way. I mean, Pro Tour top 8, like you said, winning the world. I mean, you've done so much in Magic, right? And so, I always love hearing that perspective. It's something that I think a lot of people playing Arena just maybe might not actually like have that full grasp of history. I know that, CovertGoBlue has been like an avid follower of the pro scene basically forever.
Since the beginning, since number one, whenever I could spare a time or a few eyeballs for a sideboard article that came with the Duelist or the back page of Inquest, yeah.
You might not be aware, Andrea, but CGB actually played in the first ever Pro Tour.
Oh, the one with the phone call where you had to get a phone call in?
Why does everybody remember it for that? No, there is a really cool story about that. I got to tell Gavin at Wizards this story recently, but I was 14 and my mom, I think she must have found it in one of the magazines, but she came and told me and my sister, who was 12, that she got a letter from Wizards of the Coast and that they were inviting us to go to New York and play in this juniors division professional tournament because they heard we're some of the best players in Michigan or something like that. And we believed her. She was a good mom, but you called the phone number to qualify. But I'll have you know, we finished 55th and I finished 55th. My sister finished 56th. I'm not kidding. You can look in the standings. It's there.
How many players?
Dan and Kim Wagner from Elmira, Michigan was like 300 something players. Wow. That's nice. And we qualified for Pro Tour Long Beach. We couldn't afford the ticket. We didn't go. So I feel like I earned it in retrospect. I didn't scrub out, but couldn't.
Where was the first one? Chicago?
New York.
New York. Okay.
New York. And we lost round one because our flight the night before got canceled, and our flight in the next day, we arrived an hour late. It was a nightmare. There was a blizzard.
And there was 1996?
Yep, 1996. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I was 3 years old then.
Cool. That's fun to think about.
You're probably already better at Magic at that age, Mengu, than I'll ever be. So okay. I need to get something out here because Mengu here, you won the tournament. If I could have competed in and won one tournament in Magic history, and not just because of the prize pool, the Mythic
that first Mythic Invitational, the very first one. It had like the MPL and 32 like content creators, and I was there, but I was not invited to play. Yeah, I watched you win that on the stage. You know, it was really exciting. It was a great moment, but that was the closest they ever came to a best of one, like mega tournament. And I am a best of one non-apologist. I think it's a great format. I love playing it. I helped MTG Nerd Girl prepare for that tournament just because I loved it. Like, I love the format. And I was like, man, I've never wanted to be someone else in my whole life as much as I wanted to be Andrea Mengucci in that moment.
You were in the arena, like in the huge arena, watching the top four. Yeah,
I was sitting next to Andre Strasky.
Oh, nice!
like 2 seats away from him. It was
that was definitely, again, it's a huge achievement, the Mythic Invitational win, because that was the first one. Like, whenever you're the first one of something like as big as the revolution that came with Magic Arena, it's always gonna remember. Like, and I'm very, very proud of that win. Which, while you might be, I didn't love that format that much, but it was definitely like, just playing that Esper control was so great. It was so good. It was so good.
Everybody had that Esper control, man. Everybody was on that Esper, man. I've never lost with that deck in the whole 3 days. Mono White was also very good. Mono White was also very, very excellent choice. But the Esper deck was just Teferi Hero Dominaria is such a good card.
So, Mango, was that when you really fell in love with Esperona, the archetype, or were you already an Esper Mage before that?
No, I wasn't. That's cementified. And mostly was the PT after, the arena PT after was in Las Vegas. Many people, mostly Brad Nelson and BBD, were championing this Esper hero. So it was these Esper, you're lower to the ground with Hero of the Precinct 1, Thief of Sanity. Whereas I was on the bigger side with Kaya's Breath, and just more removal spells. So, and I was sure that Esper Control was better than Esper Aggro, and I made the distinction of Esperone, which was the one that I was playing, versus Esperino, because in Italian we say, like, something big is one. So, for example, I don't know, maccheroni. You know this word, right? Maccheroni means
no way.
Bigger.
Okay.
Bigger, yeah. And then you have something smaller, like, I don't know,
Capellini, maybe.
Cappuccino, cappuccino, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a small hoodie. That's a small hoodie, cappuccino.
Okay.
At the end, and only at the end. I'm just coming up with words that you might know. That's the difference. So Esperino, just like Teferone and Teferino. I make this difference. The 5 mana Teferi versus the 3 mana Teferi, which is brought back to Arena, the 4 mana Teferi. Now, but it's much worse than it used to be.
Yes, I was going to ask how are you feeling about the return of Teferi?
So I'm very happy. That they're giving us cards for free, because that's actually what they did. They gave us 4 Teferi Time Raveler for free. So I really hope so. It's not great, but it's a free card, and I really hope that they will also do this for the other cards on the historic ban list one day. I mean, slowly.
Yeah, I hope so. That's the thing, right? Is it better to have this experience with this broken card for a little while, and then it gets banned, and you live with the memories, and you move on, and you use those wild card refunds on something else? Or is it better to have it get changed and be a shell of its former self and watch it, ungracefully age into obscurity? I don't know.
You're right in thinking about that, because, for example, I don't know, my experience with Hullbreaker Horror. I used to play Hullbreaker Horror in the sideboard of just Sky Control, and now just removed it because, it's not like you used to play it because it's uncounterable, and now it's not the Mirror Breaker anymore. So I guess you're right. It's maybe better to just ban and get the wild cards. But for those cards on the ban list, though, that's, they could make, I don't know, Veil Summer cost 2 mana in this spec or stuff like that.
Yeah. I don't know what the right thing is. Like there's ups and downs to both. At first I was pumped that Teferi, was back, even if it was Teferi now. But
Teferi.
Then you play it and you're like, that didn't feel the same.
No, it's 4 mana so much. Just adding a mana to a card is, we've seen with Village Rites and costly.
It does give you a power of appreciation, because I was playing Commander the other day and I cast Teferi for 3 mana and I was just like, oh God, that's so good.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I had. This is amazing.
Yeah, I played that in Modern. It's nice. Modern Teferi 3 is very good.
So while we're talking about this, Mengu, I'd love to just get some of your thoughts on digital-only Magic. Whether it's in Alchemy or like the updated historic, like we're talking about bringing back banned cards in nerfed form. How are you feeling about this? Like, are you excited about the future of digital-only Magic? And I'm also curious to hear your thoughts on that difference. Like, what is it like for you as a person who's very used to playing these cards in, modern or even older formats, right? So you're very used to the kind of the unpowered down version, and then coming to Arena and seeing it like that. How do you feel about all that?
I personally think that the differentiating Arena to paper Magic is not a bad thing. Magic Arena has a huge potential that, Magic Online and paper Magic don't have, which is to change cards that are too strong. But I think in theory, Alchemy has a huge potential, but I think there's 2 things that I disagree on the execution. The first one is that they've added 1 million rares in the Alchemy only format, and that's obviously just not great, especially since those cards, to me, felt like they weren't properly tested. They were just thrown in there, and the client maybe sometimes wasn't even ready, like the Town Race Tyrant, Upkeep Stop, and stuff like that. And another thing is, I think they changed them too quickly. So I remember disagreeing with a Magic personality on Twitter about that. This person really wanted Alchemy to change like soon, super soon, like after 3 weeks or 1 month. And the Magic players, all the time Magic players know that in order to have, we have ban lists. In order to have ban lists, you have to have proper results. You can't just ban a card because, it has a high percentage on top .gg or on like some events that aren't like as good as like relevant on MTG Melee. I think it's important that you wait for PTQ, for the Arena Open, and maybe even better to wait for the set championship. But this person was really disagreeing, and they should have made all these changes, and they actually did. They made all these changes, so many changes they made, and now what happened? That all the things that you knew at Alchemy before, they're not true anymore, because Lear is not like the key of the deck anymore, and so many things changed, and I think that's too quickly. I think that the metagame was already adapting, with Grew Werewolves being a good deck, and the deck didn't get any nerf because I think they didn't get any nerf. And so to me, our Alchemy has a great potential to just change cards and nerf cards, but you have to wait. You can't just do all these changes so quickly, and people just are so afraid now to craft a deck, because what if they just, change how, Tumbler works or stuff like that. So I think you should still learn from the past of Magic, which is to be patient about the changes that you want to make, and not just ride the, bend this, bend that, bend this deck I lost against thing that's very real, I think, on Twitch and maybe on Twitter, but shouldn't actually be the way things go in games.
I get this feeling that there are some people at Wizards who are really excited that they get to change cards now, and they're just kind of doing, I think, what they feel like they always wanted to do. And I wish instead that maybe they would bring in consultants or hire somebody from games that are used to changing cards and know the effects that these things can have. Because you're right, it's like Key to the Archive didn't get touched, and Town Razor Tyrant barely got tagged, and the Werewolves are absolutely fine. And it felt like the changes that they made it didn't feel like it changed very much well at all, other than nerfing some decks that were just trying to keep up. It's really strange, especially when they're changing pushed cards after just a few weeks, because heaven forbid you nerf them too hard and you only got to really play that card for a few weeks. I don't know. Feels weird. Yeah. At first I was really excited about it too, because like, did you enjoy when Pioneer had basically no banned list and they were like, we're going to just let you guys play and then ban what we want to? A lot of people enjoyed that. And I thought Alchemy might be that, but it hasn't felt that way.
Yeah. So again, they really just added way too many cards to begin with, in my opinion, especially at a rarity that was just, so that wasn't great. But I think what is not great is exactly this, just like changing cards so quickly. And I'm afraid that people are now scared of playing Alchemy and crafting Alchemy cards because they might get nerfed, whereas they know that Standard will not get that feeling. And we also see how slow they were at reacting with Standard, which was about their standards of slowness of bannings. Like Aaron's Epiphany had a 57 win percentage at the set championship when everybody knew Aaron's Epiphany would be the most played deck, and pros were competing and they didn't do anything. So you could say that they did that because they wanted to let Alchemy flourish. People play Alchemy because that's probably the what happened. But I don't know. I feel that again, Alchemy had a huge potential, and maybe still has. It's not like burnt yet. We'll be seeing the next month. There's a set championship. We're already testing. I don't know if you read the team that I set up. And
no, I didn't see you at a team. I want to know your team.
Either. Let us know.
All right. Okay. I tweeted after the qualifier. At this point, it's like 2 weeks ago. I tweeted that. So recently, I was. Kind of going lone wolf, I have all these like contents you make, so I don't really want to like share that much with the team. I wanted to just be focusing on creating content. Still, I was practicing and bringing decks that were good and doing like fine results. But this time I wanted to be like, there's so many people that qualify through whether it is Magic Online or Magic Arena, and they just never really leave the PT experience, the PT testing experience. So I wanted to create a Discord group and do basically what I was doing with my team, before I decided to stop doing so. And so now we have me and Eli Lovman, I took with me, and we have this group of at this point 16 people that joined. And it was just they're playing on Discord. I tell them to like share the deck list, write detailed report of what they learned. So basically, what I was doing. In testing, just kind of like letting people that qualified on this like COVID, in this COVID times where you can't like gather to meet anymore in a testing house like we were doing, but still could do that with the team instead of like practicing on the ladder.
That sounds really cool. I've heard from some pros that like the testing houses and that kind of thing was overrated, but as a fan of pro Magic for many years, I think that was an underrated like dream that the PT had. The whole play the game, see the world was nice. I wanted to be playing the game. I wanted to try a week in a testing house. I was like, that just sounds like heaven to somebody who likes playing Magic. Being there with other Magic players, like just jamming games and eating food and maybe on a beach in Hawaii, ideally, that just sounds like heaven. That sounds perfect.
It was during 2018. It's when me and Javier started testing like a lot. And what I was doing was I was flying from where I live to Valencia, where he was living. And I was playing with him for like 5 or 6 days, just me and him. Like we're both.
This is Javier Dominguez, former world champion, the fervent champion for anybody at home who doesn't know. Go on.
Yeah. Me and Javier. So we were like workhorses. We can play Magic for 12 hours, 14 hours a day, just test and stuff like that. For example, for Worlds 2018, the one that Javier won, we played 200 mirror of Red Black Vehicle in Valencia. God. And then because we set that number, like we had to play, and we tested. Our testing went to some certain level of like testing cards that we were, for example, like just setting up draw. So, for example, the player who's on the draw always starts with an Heart of Kiran in play on turn 2 or in hand, to cast it on turn 2. So to just see if the card is good on the draw or only on the play, stuff like that. Or the player with a Siege Gang commander always casts it on 5, stuff like that. So we were like really deep into the testing because we knew that Red Black Beagle would have played the most popular deck, the strongest deck, and the world is basically only mostly mirror match of that deck. So that's where the pro testing arrives. But yeah, we were basically just meeting at his house, and then if it was for a PT, would travel to a location, which was usually the GP, because before the PT you had the GP the week before, and then you would travel to the PT location. So it was basically like half a month, like 2 weeks and a half of just traveling and testing the whole day, and that definitely worked wonders, because me and Javier finished like first and second in the 2019 standings. But just in general, like this like work mentality, as you said, the testing house were overrated, but maybe because the people that thought that weren't really exploiting the full value of it. Because I think that the testing house is like the thing that put us to the next level. And when COVID arrived after 2020, I couldn't replicate that testing house in person, and I just couldn't do it online. Like I couldn't test as much online, and I just started testing less and less and focusing more on content.
Wow. I'm my YouTube brain is thinking about like how a 72 hours of testing the red black vehicle mirror video would do. just the full 72 hour video. You ever see like those 24 hours of rainfall videos? Yeah.
Like and then people like clip, oh, he had a card from the sideboard to his hand.
Oh no.
Because, or another very common thing is just to go back. Like you make a play and then like, oh no, you just go back, because in testing you can take those like easy take back, whereas you can't do that in arena. And sometimes it's just locked with a play, and now you have to like play a game that you would have played different in testing.
Well, no, I like that's what you highlighted, is that there are things that you can do in paper that you just can't do in digital Magic, which are really helpful for testing, right? So exactly, I like how you can stack the hand, you can stack the deck, you can do any number of things. Or, I like the idea of, like you can play a couple of turn cycles or whatever, and then you can rewind and try it again, or just like so many different things, right? So I think that's kind of a revelation for anyone who has only played Arena, is just the being able to play in so many different ways and to test in so many different ways. That's really cool.
Yeah, for sure. Or also like just, a game is about to end, but you go like, oh, wait, what if I played this way 2 turns ago? And you just rewind 2 turns ago, because that maybe is a play that you need to learn. And like certain play pattern happen, like you can just easily learn the first like 3 turns of a game, and then you can like for real like replicate those 3 turns, because in constructed with 4 cards of each, it's a thing that you can do in limited hardware, of course.
Yeah. So I just wanted to briefly ask you, you've been an MPL member. You've been very, very involved in competitive play. How are you feeling about that moving forward? Like what do you expect your involvement to be? And CGB looks like he has a question too. Maybe not.
I was just remembering, I guess it's kind of a precursor, but I think it wasn't that long after you won the biggest prize pool for first place for tournament history that you put out a tweet talking about how you saw the future in content creation, and you were leaning harder into content, and that wasn't that long, I think, after you won. I think I remember a tweet like that, so that it just popped into my mind. But let's hear from the man himself.
Well, I always believed that content creation was what's going on with the Pro Magic, because since I started playing Pro Magic, the PTs has been the same. Like since 2010, 10, the PT has been literally the same. We had 4 PTs, you had a clear pattern, that was the prize pool. No one ever dreamed of having more. And the only way to sustain yourself was through content creation, because Platinum was barely making like enough. It was making, I don't know, maybe like $15,000 a year, which obviously is a lot for some countries, but that wasn't the dream job or anything. What you were winning, what you were hoping for was to just do well in tournaments to keep on winning. But content creation was that like safe salary. Also, Platinum wasn't easy to achieve. Gold was somewhat easy to achieve from year to year, but Platinum was really much, much harder. And that was like, so content creation lets you have that like cushion of like, maybe this season I don't do as much well, but I still have like that income. With MPL, that changed it totally. Well, Wizards believed that Magic pros needed to become personalities, and they wanted to like monetize on that, giving us, a lot of money for both, like just join the events or just giving us money. Just, that was our job. Like, you're supposed to like quit your 9-to-5 job to join the MPL. That was basically the deal. Now, we all know that didn't work, not only for COVID reasons, but also because Magic players, I think they want to play, they don't want to watch, or rather they do want to watch, but they want to have the chance to play. That was the biggest difficulties. They want to watch content creator to learn how to play so that they can compete and they can like try and be, qualified to PT, play against me one day, for example. And the MPL was very exclusionary. Like, it wasn't doing this. So the system failed and Wizards took it all away. And honestly, I think it's fine. I think that, it's very unfortunate for the people who joined the system now, who joined the system in 2020-21, because they like maybe worked hard to get there and now it's like taken away from their feet. But I would say that moving forward, just clearing the thing, and ideally, I want to say go back to the system, the one that I knew, the one that I fell in love with. That would be my hope. But I honestly think that it's not a bad idea that they just took it all away, and they will restart with, as they said, a robust system after they can play tournament Magic in paper again, in real life again. Online, digital, not only paper Magic, but also like, the arena PTs, the Mythic Invitational, stuff like that. I think it was so much better than the one that are holding these days. Just being face to face, having an interview with like an actual interviewer. I think that adds a lot to the viewership count.
Yeah, I think I was listening to the episode that I wasn't here for. I was on vacation, but I was listening to the episode with Mike Flores, and he was saying, give us back the old PT. It doesn't have to have a huge prize pool. It doesn't have to have a lot of bells and whistles. People will play for it for pride and to celebrate the game and to be with their friends. And that struck me. And I hope they just hook up some nice cameras and cover it like it's 2012. I'd be perfectly happy with that. Like, I'd be really excited.
Yeah.
As someone who's done this a lot, Mengu, like, how does it feel to be in a coverage match in like a real PT? Like, how does it feel to be sitting at that table and like playing the Magic with the cameras there, like for the highest stakes? Because to me, that just seems like the most exciting thing a person could do.
At the end, maybe at the beginning it is, but then when you start going to like every PT, every GP, and you like consistently get on the future match often, especially if you do well, like if you do well, you expect to be there. You just don't think about it. You think about you like drawing a good hand and playing your cards in a proper way. At the end of the day, Magic isn't. Again, I was never really pressured by the spotlight. I was actually happy, whenever I got interviewed or whenever I got a future match, because I had the chance to say to people, hey, look, I'm there, I'm doing this thing. I always like embrace the like spotlight that Wizards put us on, because that was one of the problem, I think, with the MPL, is that it was kind of a mix of we Wizards of the Coast need you person in the MPL to advertise yourself and to advertise our game because we're paying you to do so. That was always like the thing. Like many people, they just want to play the game. Many people, they just have a job and want to play Magic, to go to tournaments. And if they do well, they're very happy about it. They don't want to advertise Magic, or they don't want to like maybe even advertise themselves. Many people are just, shy and they don't want to do that. So I think that just, again, the system previously, it was talented people like BDM and Rich Hagan, Baron David Marshall and Rich Hagan. They were able to highlight all the players involved. They were able to give, this Japanese player, he's been like killing it on the PT. And even if that person never said a word in English, the world knew that person because the commentators, and I think that, a very important thing of maybe that went wrong is that, just like that people needed to put a personality on a Magic player. That wasn't necessarily it.
Yeah. It's not normal, I think, to be a person that is good at advertising yourself to sell a game. Like that's not a thing that they teach in school. That's not like, it's not natural. I think a lot of people, the people who are good at it make it look natural. It's not natural.
Well, and I actually think in some ways it might run against like a Magic player in particular, because think about like the skill set that makes you really good at Magic is away from a lot of the skill sets that make you good at talking to people and make you a good entertainer and all that kind of stuff, right? So if you're the kind of person who's like, spending tens of hours a week, like grinding Modo or whatever, you're not like, that's not time that you're spending like studying public speaking or, whatever. Right. So I totally take your point, Mango. It's kind of like, it's really rough that like someone who might, in their free time, they just want to play Magic. They don't want to be messing around with all this other crap, right? And all of a sudden they have this expectation that in order to be really successful at this game, I have to develop all of these other skill sets. Yeah, when all I wanted to do was just like play some good Magic. So,
although I obviously have to thank like Wizards of the Coast for the MPL thing, because thanks to them I started streaming. I wasn't a streamer in 2016, 17, 18. I was just I was a student back then. I have a degree that I of course like spent a lot of time on, but I also like we're going to Javier's house and we were practicing. I wasn't making content. I was writing for Channel Fireball, like strategies article, but I wasn't streaming. I wasn't YouTubing anything. The Wizards told me, all right, we have the MPL contract and you have to stream like mandatory. So like all these people that I mentioned before that were like, I don't really want to stream. I'm just like, I want to just do my thing. I want to test. Now that we're put in a tough spot, but for me, that wasn't the case. As I said, I love the spotlight. I love to go in the future match. I love streaming now. Like that over 3 year past since that thing, and I'm still streaming every day at the same hour. And now also make YouTube videos. So that's definitely something that it was thanks to the MPL that I started that.
So
yeah,
go ahead, CGB.
I was just, you said the magic were the YouTube videos thing. And that's, of course, kind of a content thing I do a lot and pretty excited about that. And yeah, so you've been streaming for, you said 3 years since the MPL thing and the streamer contracting got you into that. And now you're also working on YouTube a lot. And I think you're probably one of the most successful pros going into content, looking at numbers and consistency. Like your stream does really well. Your YouTube channel looks like it's growing from what I can see. And it's actually really exciting to see. So I'm wondering how content creator life is treating you. Are you enjoying it? Is that the future?
I would say that in order to be a content creator, and this sounds like weird, but like you just can't travel that much. Like you just like, I couldn't do that if I was doing the PT life. I was able to do that because of COVID. Because of COVID, I was able to stay home every day and be super consistent, be able to put videos on YouTube, comment to everyone who was like writing a message, because that happens a lot. And if I can answer the people who message me, I'll help. And of course, like writing first, like that just takes so much time, and you have to be consistent. Like that's the most important thing, I think, for a streamer and for a YouTuber is the consistency. Like I'm trying to put out on YouTube 2 videos per day that either come from my stream or that like pre-record. And I think that if I was like, not doing that because I have to go to this GP because I need to chase points to qualify for this other thing. So I'm not streaming from Thursday to Monday. All right. People would be like, well, then I just start watching, it's just like this whole thing that because they removed the pro club and be like, you have to join the said event in person. Of course they had to remove because there's none, but I was able to make a lot of content and I'm not sure what can happen and what will happen if those events return.
Yeah, you might have to make a choice on that front.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, that'll be a tough one.
Yeah, I think that of course you can try and balance it all because also of course people love to watch you in real life. Like when you went to Las Vegas, I'm sure so many people were just happy to see you there, but you just can't do that every weekend, which was the GP life back then. During the 2018 time where I basically attended 30 weekends. I attended 30 GPs in 2018. And that's like, I don't know how many weekends a year it has, but almost every weekend was a GP. And yeah. So again, that's also a traveling that takes like 2 days, like Thursday and Monday. So they have like 2 days left to stream that week and people just can't take that, I think.
The trips I have gotten to make, it's one of the reasons I've focused a lot on YouTube over Twitch. Before I started making content, I traveled a lot, more just for recreation than for anything else. But I just liked going on a lot of different trips around the world, seeing places. And I found that with YouTube, I could just record a bunch of videos in a day and then post them over the next like weeks or so and see similar results. And it was like people didn't know I was gone. So that's one, I think, YouTube advantage.
Definitely
could work out. It sounds like you're doing 2 videos a day. Yeah, you've been doing 2 videos a day for a little while. Like that's a good chunk. Those could be spaced out to ones if you wanted to disappear for a little while.
Yeah, for sure. No, so what people know me a lot for too is my legacy videos on Channel Fireball. So again, this has been happening I have over 400 legacy videos for Channel Fireball, maybe 500 now. I don't know. At some point they said this was the 400th, but I lost track. And I was doing that weekly. So I was able to be like, all right, I'm home 2 days. I'm going to record 4 videos for Channel Fireball, or 3 videos for Channel Fireball. And then I'm like spamming them. So they handled everything. I was just giving the OBS file. But so yeah, YouTube is definitely welcoming in the system, and I can see like going from Twitch to YouTube, but honestly I think what Twitch has going for it is that it keeps you company.
Yeah,
so I don't know, I don't know if you know me, but I am a person that very rarely stays alone. Like sometimes maybe I do some walk around to listen to some podcasts, but I always like try to meet some people to play some real Magic, or I don't know, go with my girlfriend or some parents. But I really like company, and I feel like whenever I'm recording a video for Channel Fireball or for YouTube exclusive, I get very much in depth, but at the same time I feel like it's work. Like it's like a job. It's like saying you have to do, I don't know, there's like chain the thing where you have to do that. Yeah. Whereas
at the end of the day, you're in a room by yourself, playing a game by yourself, talking to nobody. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. Whereas on Twitch, and especially if you have a larger audience, which I have the luck to have, you actually have a talk. Like you just, people ask you question about not game related thing and you start talking about it. And I feel like basically Twitch makes you feel 4 hours of streaming Twitch way less. Like they're light. They just go faster. Whereas if you had to record 4 hours of YouTube, like alone, exclusive, like talking, that would feel a lot more painful.
I'm experimenting with more Twitch in my life. And since I came back, I've streamed every day except for one. I've only missed one day so far.
Nice.
And the like psychological effect, I had started to grow like kind of wary of comments on YouTube because they were so negative surrounding things like Alchemy or Standard. If I posted one, people wanted the other. If I posted the other, people wanted Alchemy. It's like they're Hatfields and McCoys. They're fighting each other right now. But on Twitch, like I just got like the comments, like the chat's been really nice and like they're super supportive and like they laugh at the same jokes, the dumb jokes that I make. And I'm kind of like I'm sinking into this Twitch life where I used to like kind of resist the chat. Now I'm like, all right, let's go. Me in the chat. We're going on another adventure today. It's nice. It's kind of addicting. It's endearing.
Yeah, during the first quarantine in 2020, we had this thing with my friends where we would just meet every afternoon and dinner and evening on Discord, and we would just play like Among Us 5. And that's basically the experience with Twitch chat. Like you're playing, you're streaming your games, and people keep you like company, basically. And so if you're listening to this podcast and you watch a a Twitch streamer, just don't hesitate to say something. Because if it's something that is like nice, or if it's something that is like, I don't know, anything like related about what's happening, you're probably gonna like get a respawn or definitely gonna please the streamer, because the streamer wants to what do you say? The streamer wants to like entertain, but it's like if you go to a theater and you are like a comedy person, you need the people to laugh at your joke, or you're not gonna be feeling it. If no one's writing anything, you're not gonna feel it. So I think that's the difference between the two things. But of course, YouTube, you've highlighted it some months ago, has some advantages.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's really awesome that you've just continued to evolve throughout the shifting landscape of Magic. And I think that's really like, it's really interesting how I almost feel like that's like the meta game to Magic, right? It's kind of like you can think about the meta game of whatever format you're playing, but if you're going to be a lifelong committed Magic player, you have to evolve with the game. And I think you're a really great example, Mengu, of someone who is really committed to doing that. Someone who just you're constantly updating your relationship with the game and constantly adapting to these new ways that they're designing to play. So I think that's really, really impressive. I have a quick question that I've just wanted to ask you forever. And so we can get an off-the-cuff answer here, which is the best Magic format? Go.
Oh, just like, all right, now I have an answer. Like, this is an official answer. Okay, to go on record, it's Cube Draft. To me, Cube Draft is the best. Personally, I prefer Vintage Cube because I like powerful Magic. I like to just, cast Time Walk and like, powerful cards. But also whenever there's the Arena Cube, I enjoy that as well, as much as I enjoy like, honestly, just playing any cube, even Pauper Cube. About Constructed, that really just depends on the actual like card pool and ban list, because sometimes we had like, amazing formats, like amazing standard formats and less amazing standard formats, or we've had great modern formats and less, and same for Legacy and everything. But so I think that, again, I really love, and maybe like the reason why I love like Standard so much was also because it was a competitive format. So I actually had to like practice to get the trophy, because my goal was, the trophy, the platinum thing and the stuff like that. And that gives me adrenaline winning. So I played mirror match of red black. I don't care. Like, I just need to win. So that was a totally different mindset than maybe what I have now.
I've noticed lately you've been playing a lot of Modern. Is the Modern format in a pretty good place right now, do you think?
Yeah, for sure. For sure it is. They have released a lot of powerful cards with Modern Horizons 2, which are a lot of expensive, I would add, powerful cards that have made the format way more expensive. But again, once again, I have the privilege to be able to play with whatever I want. So I am enjoying the cards. They've added so many powerful answers. So now the format is just very reactive, very like you can actually play super interesting games of Magic. There isn't a clear tier one, despite the format being the same for 7 months, which is honestly just, if you think about Magic, after 6 or 7 months, that just doesn't happen. Like you have something at the top after a while, but they still haven't banned anything, and no one says no one knows what's the best thing. And if they know it, it's probably not like it's not, So I love it. I love to play Modern, and you can still brew, and it's nice.
So a follow-up question to that. Do you enjoy Historic, like as Arena's busted format and as Arena's eternal format? Do you enjoy Historic? And I'd also be curious to hear, like, what would you like for Historic to look like as someone who's very used to playing eternal formats?
So I really like Historic. Whenever I play Arena for the past, 2 weeks, I think, since there was a big event that was Alchemy. What was it? Arena Open. After the Arena Open, I haven't played Alchemy anymore. Mostly because I was pretty pissed that they banned my Lear deck. Like they just completely nerf it. And Lear is such a fun card, at least for me. Of course, like it's not great to receive Lear, but I don't know. They just completely killed my deck, as well as like every other one's deck, except for Werewolf, and I didn't like it. And again, I don't really tend to complain that much, but we'll see. I mean, you have the new format now, which is we have the new set now, which is Kamigawa, and of course, like you're gonna try Alchemy, not because standard. Like I'm trying Alchemy because I have the PT, the set championship is Alchemy in next month, so I have to play Alchemy. It's not that if I play standard, I'm literally just like, it's time that I could spend playing Alchemy because I have to play Alchemy eventually to practice for the event. So I'll play Kamigawa, Alchemy with Kamigawa cards, and I'll also play Historic, of course, with the Kamigawa cards. For the questions of where do you see Historic going? So I think that, like, in my ideal world of Magic Arena, this is what I would see. I would see Standard and Pioneer, and I would see Alchemy and Historic. So Standard and Pioneer should mimic Paper Magic. So when Paper Magic returns, they will have PPTQs or whatever system you want to have that has Standard and Pioneer and Modern. Mostly Standard and Pioneer, I think, because they're like cheaper, and I think a monetary entry barrier is not good in Magic. So also, of course, Standard Pioneer helps selling boosters, blah, 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 but that's none of my business. So Standard Pioneer. And then you have Alchemy and Historic. So Historic is this format where they just add cards like Pyrexian Tower, or I don't know, today I played against Chromatic Sphere, or Ether Spell. But you have like all these wild cards, and that's it. That's Historic. You have wild card. You have like crazy cards. You have like, of course, Alchemy cards go into it pretty well, I think, because it's this like crazy place where you just place. I think so. I think it's cool that, and in the craziness of it, you have some like constants, which is cat food. Like that's been around since 2018. You've had people playing cat food, and you can still play them now very competitively, and they're never going to ban it or never going to nerf it. I think that's like the constant of like, I think formats need to have identity personally. And I think Historic, that's it. Like you have to deal with this like recursive 2-card combo, which is not great, but it's actually like
so much, man.
I've never played it personally, but wow. I think it's cool. It makes you like react to it. You need to have answers, and personally, I think that giving formats identity is not bad. Like having this like trio of Izzet Phoenix, Jeskai Control, and Black Green Food as your like identity, I think it's all right. And in the meanwhile, you have like all the weird combo that go out, the life gain Selesnya thing that came out, or stuff like that. So in my mind, doesn't look like they want to do it, but I would just keep printing sets until the beginning of Pioneer to have Standard and Pioneer, as well as Alchemy and Historic.
So I actually wanted to ask you because it stood out to me while you were talking, and it has stood out to me a lot playing Historic about how creature heavy it is as a format, which I think is really interesting, right? I think like a lot of times when you look at older formats, you have like these a little bit more combo based, or like if you're going to win with creatures, it's often just like in one turn kind of a thing. And I feel like Historic is perhaps somewhat unique in the fact that like a lot of the most competitive decks are like these creature-based decks that really win by turning sideways. I just wanted to get your perspective on that as someone who, you know, has been playing for a long time. Like, is that unique, or have there been, like, for example, periods in modern history that looked kind of like Historic, where you just had like all of these creature decks vying for the top?
Well, I think that right now modern is very, very creature decks. Like if you see the top decks are like Hammer Time, Izzet Murktide, Grixis, Death Shadow, and even the Omnath deck plays Ragavan, plays Solitude. Like you actually are playing like modern Magic. I think they've just been printing a lot of like creatures, like good creatures, like removal spells and creature. That's like been the trend. And in Historic, like they've banned all the, you know, Wilderness Reclamation, Nexus of Fate, like we know to like all the sort of like unfair things that you can do, you can't do with them actually. So you're left with, I don't know, the Kinnan combo deck Paradox Engine, which is a little bit, you know, again, like played against that just earlier today. So I still remember that. You have like, you do have combos. There's like Mystic's Mastery with Dragonstorm. Like you could do the stuff, but the counters are there, the anti-graveyard are there. There's just so much protection that what stand out at the end is just these creatures that can interact.
Do you think that's a healthy place for a format to be?
I think so. Having aggro or just creature decks being at the top of the meta game is always good because you can always react to the aggro decks. It's not that hard to react to aggro decks. Just put like, I don't know, Anger of the Gods in your main deck or, you know, things like that. Whereas whenever the Wilderness Reclamation Nexus of Fate deck is the top of the meta game, that, I mean, you've seen it in Standard with Arden's Epiphany. Like when the combo deck sits on top of the meta game, it's very hard for the aggro deck. Also, it creates bad games because you have to go under very quickly before the windows close for the combo deck to like close you out. So you create just like bad games of Magic, which are just, I go fast or I lose on turn 6. Whereas interactive formats where you can still like, you know, just play creatures, kill and blah, blah, blah. And like a Company, Inquisitor Captain, like cards, they help you refuel. I like that. I like Historic. I think it's a good format.
Have you done much Standard since the bans? Has it become a little mid-rangier without Alrund's Epiphany? Do you have any takes on Standard right now?
Unfortunately, I don't. Again, I focus on the set championship formats, which are Alchemy and Historic. And unfortunately, I'm not trying Standard, which I'm sure it's as I say often, every Magic format is great as long as you don't play too much.
There we go. The secret to success. I have a final kind of big question for Mengu before we go out, but I just wanted to give you the floor, CovertGoBlue, if you have any, you know, follow-up questions you'd like to ask before we end.
Well, no, not on the question front, but I do want to say thank you. When I got to travel to Barcelona and when I got to go to the Mythic Invitational and meet a bunch of the players I had watched for a decade or so, because I literally would like have watch parties with my friends, never missed a pro tour, even though I wasn't on one, you know, but like it's hard to express what a big kind of part of my life hanging out on the weekends and watching pro Magic with my friends became. And when I get to talk to somebody who was a part of that, who I saw in those spots so many times, I just kind of want to thank them for putting themselves out there and chasing their dreams. And it like probably entertained and meant a lot to a bunch of people you'll never meet. So I'm just going to vicariously be a voice for that. And I've also had the pleasure in the last couple of years of meeting some of those people. And it's kind of a mixed bag. I mean, I don't expect much when I meet people. But you were, honestly, when I met you in Barcelona, like you're like one of the warmest people. You're so easy to talk to. You're super gracious. You gave MTG Nurgle and I like your phone number and everything, like, because we were going to Italy, and you're like, if you need anything in Italy, you call me, take care of you. Like, you are honestly like one of the warmest people I've ever met, especially like in a Magic scene where people can get ground down in professional Magic and become a little closed off. So don't lose that. I'm glad to see you making content. It means a lot to me, and thank you for all that you've given to the game. That's what I've got.
Yeah, I also want to thank you for the video that you made at this point a couple of months ago about the, get into YouTube, Magic Twitch streamer. You're welcome to go to YouTube, and I did that. So you definitely gave me the window to do so. I don't think I would have done it if I hadn't watched your video. So I just want to say that for me, it was really a life changer. It might not be like a life changer, in 10 years, but for now, it definitely. Your video was a life changer. I'm now like into YouTube, and I can definitely see the YouTube channel, outgrowing Twitch in, not that many months from now. And it was great. It was great. And again, I appreciate that you remember that thing in Barcelona. How did it go in Italy? Where did you go in the end?
Yeah, we stayed in Rome the whole time, and it was really fun. Every day was like, sleep in, go out, get some Italian food, go back to the place and like play like Magic events and draft and do stuff online and try different sealed formats. And it was just a really nice hangout. I guess it's close to like a testing experience, but with no tournament coming up, just playing because we loved it.
So you just played Magic in Rome. That's what you did?
I mean, okay, we visited the sites too.
Okay.
We did go. I'm going to be honest. I dragged people out of that freaking room to go to the sites because I was like, we're in Rome. Come see something. We're going to see something today. The draft can wait.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Rome is definitely one of the best cities in the world for a various amount of reasons. And food is definitely one of them.
The food was great. It was really great.
So just while we have everyone's attention here, what is the name of your own YouTube channel, Andrea?
So, okay. I know it sounds bad that I don't know it, but it's probably just Andrea Mengucci video.
Okay.
That's my name on the YouTube. So
the reason I ask is because you probably still have a big presence on Channel Fireball's YouTube, and I just want to make sure that people are able to find you when they go looking for you.
Yeah, just Andrea Mengucci video. It must be that one. It's always weird because like I don't know it's just my name. So all the time it's like Twitch. Yeah, Magic always like build this brand under the name. So while I am like Mango09, I still like go by my name, and that's definitely a thing that I love. That you just keep your name and surname, no, just the standings. When you go to a Magic tournament, you read the standings.
Yeah,
it was always like that. Yeah,
perfect. So you all know what to do, crafties. Just go over and subscribe to Mango's content.
Thank you.
You won't regret it. He does regularly release arena content. So if that's what you primarily care about, you'll find that. And I can attest, Mango is one of my absolute favorite streamers. And the only reason I don't watch you more often is because you start at midnight my time. And so I only get to watch you if I'm having trouble sleeping.
Yeah, but at the same time, I catch some of the American viewers who have a problem sleeping. I just checked it earlier today because and they asked me. I just checked it, and Americans are the people who watch the most. Like I have 21% Americans on my and 19% Italian. So despite starting at midnight West Coast, I still
we're workaholics. We can't sleep. We've got problems. Might as well watch some Nengu cuisine.
Well, it's kind of, for me, it's a win-win. Either I'm getting a good night's sleep or I'm watching Mangu stream. So it's kind of, there's no downside, right?
Yeah.
But I did want to, before we go out here, I always, whenever we have like one of the best Magic players in the world on our podcast, I always just want to try to get a little bit of advice to help make our players a little bit better. So it's a bit of a broad question, but I wanted to ask, what's something or maybe just a couple of things that you notice, maybe particularly on Arena? Let's say you're playing, your average day on Arena. What are the things that keep coming into your mind? Like, oh my gosh, like my opponents keep making this mistake. Or if only people were to do this, if only the average ladder grinder were to do this or these couple of things, they would see much better results. So what are some of those things that come to your mind?
All right, since we have the king of best of one here, I'm not gonna dip into that. I'm gonna go to best of three, the suggestion here, which is if you ever play best of three, and this will happen this weekend if you play the historic qualifier, because I believe that's only best of three, but maybe I'm wrong. It's to just come into the tournament with a plan. Like, so many people, what do is they net deck. Because that's entirely fine. There's no shame in net decking. You net deck, a deck list that did well in MTG Melee tournament or deck list that you've seen me playing, and that's it. It has 15 cards in the sideboard. What do I do now? I just go to a turn, just join. But I think that before I actually made a video on the channel which was like explaining how to build the deck like from scratch. And the important thing was when building the sideboard, understanding the pieces, like how they exchange. So why do I have this? That in that video was Esper controlled, but why do I need, 4 duresses and 3 negates in the sideboard? Because in the main deck, I have 4 mass removal and 3 spot removal that I need to take out against control. So not only just build your sideboard thinking about the main deck, but even when you net deck, just try to understand how you're supposed to sideboard. And if you don't understand it, just change it in a way that would make you easier. Because if you have a card in your sideboard that you're not going to bring it in because you don't know when to sideboard it in, or you're just overboarding for a matchup, like you have 10 cards against control, but the main deck, you don't have that many cards to take out. Just put additional graveyard 8 or an additional cards against burn or stuff like that, because you have a plan now. You have a plan when sideboarding. So my biggest suggestion to the average Magic player is always to think about the sideboard before actually joining a best of 3 match, and like how to just write a sideboard guide for the top 5 most popular matches. Like that's not only a thing that pros do. Like everybody should write their own sideboard guide about their deck.
I love that. I think it also highlights, I like that you talked about, like, if you notice that there's a card that you consistently don't board in, or maybe a card that you do board in and you draw it and you hate it, right? You're like, oh my God, why am I playing this Magic card? Like, don't play it in your deck, right? Even if some pro player is playing it, I love that, because it's kind of like people working with where they're at, right? It's like, if you don't understand something, then just try something else.
Yeah, especially in this world without a consolidated pro system, the person that you're net decking from might have just built a list and played well or got lucky and won the thing. So it's not guaranteed that the person you're net decking is better than you, as much as it was before. I think with all the MPL and pro system, where people were very much into actually building the perfect 75.
Or they could just have a pet card. They could be BBD with a Squire in the sideboard. Who knows?
Yeah, for sure. I know that. Yeah. Or Black Cat. I remember a friend of mine had a Black Cat always in their deck.
I love it. Well, that's awesome. For those of you watching who never play best of 3, it is a very rewarding format. We do often talk about best of 1 here, but I will say that for me, whenever I find myself hating Magic, like if I'm just an hour into a session, I'm just hating it, oftentimes just switching over to best of 3, or if I'm in best of 3, switching over to best of 1, right? Like sometimes that's all the difference it takes for me to start enjoying myself again.
Was your advice for best of 1 players to play more best of 3? Was it? You can say it. I can handle it.
I can say it if you want.
Want is a strong word.
The best of 1 champion will always be me, though.
I was gonna say, I mean,
you're the duo standard champion. Branding.
Wait a second.
Oh no. No, don't do
Here
it.
it comes.
Don't do it.
Here it comes. Oh, it's the trophy. Oh my gosh.
The trophy. Okay, what's that?
There you go.
What's
CovertGoBlue has his YouTube trophy. Mango has his invitational trophy. That's
This is
awesome.
the best of one trophy.
They give any mofo one of these, so I'm sure Mengu's gonna get this eventually. I believe.
You know what though? I love that. If there's anyone who could come on this podcast who could challenge CovertGoBlue's one and best of one, it would be Andrea Mengucci.
If I had one, if I could have been if I could have been anyone for one day, I want to be Andrea Mengucci winning the only best of one tournament in Magic history. So I could flex that at every opportunity.
That was definitely a good event to be reminded of, for sure. It was so there were so many times where I was just one card away from losing. Like, that event was so sick, because it was elimination. Like, you could just get eliminated on day one and it was over. Like, nobody, it was insane. It was insane. It was a great event.
Wow. Well, it's so cool to see that trophy IRL, so to speak. I'm used to seeing that over on the right hand side as my opponent's pet, right? So it's
that's true.
It's good.
Yeah, that was during PV Worlds.
Yeah,
you could choose it. Yeah.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show, Mengu. CGB said it, but you really are just one of the greatest Magic players of all time, and we're really privileged to have you here. And the game is better for having you in it. So we really appreciate all of your contributions. So you made it very clear. It's very easy to find you basically anywhere that you are. Search for Andrea Mengucci. You're primarily active on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Is there any
Twitter? Yeah, I'm also on Instagram on Mengu09.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a Mengu food channel on Instagram or anything like that?
No, I usually use. So it's weird because Instagram is mostly used by Italians, and I don't really want to show off the Italian food to the Italians, So I actually mostly show the food to the Americans on Twitter, because Twitter is mostly Americans. So I'm mostly food active on Twitter. On Instagram, less of that. On Instagram is more cube. I take a lot of photos during the cube and post it in the stories during my cubes.
Okay, cool. So you're on Instagram. Are there any other platforms that we should watch out for you on?
I think it's all Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Instagram. Four. All right. It's a lot already by doing all self.
You're good, man. You're good.
Yeah.
I'll see you
I
on
do it
TikTok.
all by myself. All by myself, all the thumbnail and stuff like that.
Maybe we'll get an OnlyFans someday if we're lucky.
No.
Okay, all right. Took it too far. All right. As for this podcast, you can find us. We're also on Twitter. I guess there's ArenaCraft Pod on Twitter. You can also find CovertGoBlue if you search for him on Twitter.
Vanilla on Twitter. Over here, Vanilla co-host on Twitter.
Search Vanilla, he'll pop right up. You can also find CovertGoBlue streaming a lot more these days, apparently, on Twitch. You can find me streaming sporadically on Twitch. You can watch this wonderful video on CovertGoBlue's YouTube channel, which I recommend you do because Andrea Mengucci is very entertaining to watch talk, and also you can see his wonderful trophy right there in the background.
The trophy flex hits different on YouTube.
It sure does. So yeah, check that out. But of course, if you're an audio listener, you want to listen at the gym or whatever, go ahead and you can listen to us on Spotify and pretty much anywhere that you find podcasts. So once again, thanks so much for coming on the show, Andrea, and we'll look forward to catching up with you again soon.